Thank y'all for being with us here today. I want to update you on both yesterday as well as news from today. Yesterday I had a very productive visit with the Vice President of the United States, Mike Pence. We met in Corpus Christi and toured around that region as well as Rockport and over to Victoria. We had the opportunity to meet with people whose homes have been basically turned into rubble. We got to shake their hands and hold their babies as they were going through the repair and removal process. The Vice President and I even helped to carry away debris that is stacked up in their yards. And the most incredible thing that we observed was not the rubble, but the resilience of strong-hearted Texans who were just happy to be alive, happy to be here in the Lone Star State. Both in Rockport and Victoria, the most profound thing we observed were volunteers who were stacked up one by one, and the hundreds who were helping out, helping their fellow Texans with urgent needs such as supplies, with assistance in repairing their homes. I talked to some of these volunteers in Victoria, and I asked them how they were doing. I asked them how their home was. Many of them said that their home was out of power, but yet they were there at the volunteer center helping other people around the Victoria area. One of the most profound things that we have observed in the aftermath of this horrific, devastating storm has been both the resiliency and the way that Texans have been united, supporting each other. We should laud and applaud the incredible efforts of our first responders. But when you look at the average everyday Texan, neighbor helping neighbor, it's been nothing short of remarkable. Well, despite the fact that some areas are beginning the recovery process, areas such as Corpus Christi, there still remain areas that are deadly dangerous, such as in the Beaumont area. Some update from there. In the Beaumont area, the Neches River continues to rise. It is about 7 feet above the record, and it will continue to remain at or near that high for about the next week. This flooding poses an ongoing threat to Beaumont and the surrounding area. We are, as a state, as well as with partners working with us, still driving in and flying in food and water. There are now 7 points of distribution locations where people can obtain food and water. Those locations will and are determined by the county judge. One of those master locations is Ford Park. Last night, 600 pallets of water and 400 pallets of meals were delivered. Last night, about 1,000 people were evacuated from the Beaumont area, many of them going to Dallas, some going to San Antonio, and we anticipate evacuations from the Beaumont area will continue to rise. A lot of people in Beaumont are very concerned about the water system, and Beaumont is working aggressively at a fast pace to try to get the water system fixed. One thing that it requires are some pumps to get the water system back up, which may be the most expeditious route. There are weather concerns also in the Richmond area, in the lower Brazos area. The Brazos River will crest at an all-time high near Richmond, Texas. There may be some people who live near the Richmond, Texas area who have not yet been impacted by flooding waters. You need to understand about the possibility that you could be impacted by flooding waters in the coming days. You need to remain vigilant about being aware of any type of warning by local officials about the necessity to evacuate. Just observe what has happened to your friends and neighbors in Harris County and other parts of Fort Bend County, knowing that this water can rise suddenly, seemingly from nowhere, causing people to be stuck, if not overtaken. So please heed all warnings and make sure that you maintain safety. In working with the Red Cross, combining information, thought I recognized that voice. In working with the Red Cross, we now have across the state of Texas 258 shelters that are now open. 107 of those shelters are shelters that are partnered with or in collaboration with the state in some form or fashion, and 151 are considered to be independent shelters, which would be the type of shelter that, let's say, a church would provide. Last night, the overnight population in shelters in Texas was 42,399. Of those amount, 6,000 are in state parks. In addition to that, our great friend and neighbor Louisiana has about 3,000 Texans in shelters. And I want to express my deep gratitude to Louisiana and to the governor of Louisiana for helping with search and rescue missions, helping to save the lives of Texans, and also express my gratitude to both individuals as well as first responders from Louisiana for being such tremendous humanitarians. A pressing issue in Texas is the issue of fuel. Now, this is an issue that is pressing in part because of a reaction to some media reports where the facts are that there's plenty of fuel, plenty of gasoline in the United States of America. There's plenty of gasoline in the state of Texas. All that said, we are ensuring an even greater supply of gasoline so we can tamp down any concern about accessibility to fuel that people may want to access over the course of the coming Labor Day weekend. Working with all sectors of the oil and gas community, from refineries to pipelines, from operators, trucking companies, and retailers. We have worked in the past 24 to 48 hours to alleviate concerns about access to gasoline and to ensure that more gasoline will be coming or is already coming to the state of Texas. Working with our neighbors and great friends, Oklahoma, Louisiana, and New Mexico. Fuel is being shipped from each of those states to the state of Texas to get fuel into the Dallas-Fort Worth area and then into the surrounding areas in the state of Texas. The pipeline of gasoline that had been going from Texas to Oklahoma has been reversed, and that is now sending gasoline from Oklahoma to Texas. We have refineries that are coming back up in Corpus Christi and Three Rivers that will quickly be providing a much greater supply of gasoline. The port of Corpus Christi has now opened with barges coming in already with gasoline that came in today and will be coming in the following days. And also, I signed a waiver of certain regulations on fuel truckers to ensure that gasoline supplies can be more swiftly brought to the state of Texas from other states. The bottom line is that the state of Texas will have plenty of gasoline showing up at gasoline stations across the state of Texas. So don't worry, we will not run out, and we will be back into our normal pattern before you know it. One of the most important things we can do when we have times of weather challenges like hurricanes and floods is to make sure we can ensure an ongoing supply of food and water. I want you to know that we have established points of distribution in all areas between Corpus Christi and Beaumont. We are relying upon local officials, typically the county judge, on the announcement of the location of the points of distribution. If you reside in any of the counties that are in the affected area between Corpus Christi and Beaumont and you are looking for food or water, contact your county judge or look for notifications from your county judge about where those points of distributions are. Also, there are law enforcement officials as well as emergency operations centers in each of those counties who should be able to provide you that information. We are proud to have worked very collaboratively with all military branches. From our military branch, we have received can't read my writing. We've received air support, meaning aircraft, from 43 states helping our mission. Now, I want you to know we have received offers of help from all 50 states, but we have accepted it from 43, and we leave ourselves open to accepting it from the other 7 if necessary. The primary focus of the aircraft remains on evacuation and search and rescue. We've had a tremendous partnership with the United States Coast Guard. They've done a fabulous job up and down our coast, assisting in countless ways. And among other things, they reported today that they are getting our ports open as fast as possible. And I think there will be a lot of good news to report here perhaps today and in the coming days about the success that's being made. Some important information from FEMA. Already, about 440,000 Texans have registered for assistance from FEMA. And already FEMA has approved more than $79 million in assistance. One thing that we focus on is trying to move evacuees from these evacuation locations into a more semi-permanent location, such as a hotel room. We want you out of convention centers into a place where you have a living room and a bedroom and your own bathroom. And we get you there as quickly as possible. And let me clarify, when I say we, that is FEMA, get you there as quickly as possible. FEMA has been very proactive and has been moving this process very quickly. And I want to thank them for all that they are doing. Also, however, maybe the most important thing I can say to you today, if you are a Texan who's been impacted and dislocated because of the hurricane or because of the flooding or because of any consequence of the storm that has hit Texas, please contact online disasterassistance.gov. Disasterassistance.gov. You can join now the more than 440,000 Texans who've already accessed help from FEMA. Now, one thing that has led to an effective operation in response to this challenge of the hurricane and the flood is the collaboration that we've seen at the local, state, and national level. I cannot thank enough the men and women who served or who serve in our armed forces and what they've done to aid Texans in this very challenging time. Whether it's Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, or Coast Guard, they've stepped up and come to our aid and have worked seamlessly as we have worked every single day to keep our state and our citizens safe. I'm proud that we have with us today the leader of this effort, General Robinson, who is the commander of NORTHCOM, and I would like to ask her to come up and say a few words.
Sir, thank you very much.
Sure.
Yeah, thank you very much. Sir, Governor, I can't tell you how excited I am to be here and how proud and honored that you would have me be here with you. You know, on behalf of Secretary Mattis, Chairman Dunford, and all the men and women in our active duty armed forces, I would like to offer our heartfelt thoughts and prayers to all of those who have been affected by Hurricane Harvey.
Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And it is my role as the commander of NORTHCOM to be responsible. To be responsible to deploy active duty soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines to support FEMA requests in the state of Texas for assistance to local, county, state, and federal civil authorities in devastating times like this, just like Harvey. When disasters of this magnitude strike, a whole of government response is necessary, and DoD is a part of all of that. You know, one of the things that we've learned over time is how important it is to have the right capability at the right place at the right time to support the needs of the citizens. As we know, sir, I can't tell you how much we appreciate your leadership and the things that you've done and the leadership of FEMA and the things that we are able to do to support the two of you each and every day. Our military has unique capabilities to support disaster relief. Those same capabilities that make our armed forces so effective in combat make our forces uniquely effective in disaster relief efforts. We have been and we will continue to deploy any and all capabilities requested by FEMA and, sir, of course, you. I want to tell you, I had a conversation yesterday with Secretary Mattis, and he made the comment to me, Lori, Texas gets everything they need, and we'll get it there as fast as we can. I have to say, I'm so proud of the soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines that have deployed in the affected area and that will continue to deploy as long as requested and needed. You know, the Army has provided 200 high water vehicles to support Red Cross in the movement of personnel and the patients. Army helicopters with hoisting capability are providing to help rescue and transport the survivors. And the Army is also overseeing the receipt and issue of life support items. The Air Force is providing strategic airlift, fixed-wing airlift, medical evacuation, airborne command and control, and helicopters to transport people and supplies. The Navy amphibious ships USS Kearsarge and USS Oak Hill, along the Marines with the 26th Marine Expeditionary Unit, are en route, should you need them. Our Defense Logistics Agency has provided fuel, sandbags, generators, and incident support bases, and is delivering meals to dislocated citizens. And the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers has deployed experts to the state and FEMA response nodes to help provide technical assistance with the power restoration. So these are just a few things that the men and women in uniform are doing to help with the larger relief effort. And we are committed to assist at local, state, and federal agencies throughout this trying time for our nation. So Governor Abbott, Mr. Robinson, Administrator Long, again, thank you so much for your leadership. We look forward, and we will be there, steady, ready, and to support at a moment's notice. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, General.
Yes, sir.
Well, thank you, General Robinson. And again, I cannot thank you or those who serve under you enough for what they've done to make Texas a better place. And if you would, please pass along my deepest gratitude to Secretary Mattis. We have had a seamless and really daily collaboration with members of the DoD throughout this process, and that collaboration will continue. And I have expressed to our Commander-in-Chief directly my gratitude to all that the DoD and the United States military has done to help Texas in this very dire time. With that, I'll be happy to take a few questions.
You talked about gas runs that are happening right now. People are going out, they're seeing lines snaking around their block, and then those red tags on the pumps. How do we instill confidence in them that supply is on its way?
We have already heard today about one way that people are still with confidence as they are on the roadway and they see these big tanker trucks filled with gasoline coming down the way. The best thing they can do is when they see one of those tanker trucks of gasoline, move out of that lane and that tanker truck get on down the road faster. We have been working literally overnight, nonstop, to line up tanker trucks to be coming in from other states. That, in addition to the pipeline reversal and these other actions, the barge coming in, we are being, start to say flooded with gasoline, but we have a bunch of gasoline coming in. And so there's a perception of concern. The reality is we're going to have plenty of gasoline.
Governor, regarding federal funding going forward for recovery, do you have any concern that politics, such as like over the border wall or aggressive government shutdown, will interfere with that?
I don't.
Governor, you obviously the discussion is turning to what Congress is going to provide at this point. What do you expect from the state legislature at this point, and do you think it may be necessary to bring them back for yet another special session?
No, we won't need a special session for this. We have smartly provided a lot of resources at my disposal to be able to address the needs between now and the time the next session will begin. And we have smartly kept a lot of money in our rainy day fund that we will be able to tap into as needed going forward.
Governor, we've heard that a lot of folks that have been inundated, about 8%, did not have flood insurance because there's areas that just were not prone to flooding, that are flooded. What can the state do, if anything, to help these people? Because in Katrina, we had a lot of folks that just let their homes just go into foreclosure. What can we do to prevent that from happening?
Well, let me allow part of the response come from people who are experts at this. And Nim, I'll let you or Tony decide who should best address this.
Sure.
So let me back up, let you guys get up here.
So, Chief, primarily while you're getting all situated, I'll just kind of restate. What can the state do to prevent a repeat of Katrina where people lost their homes to foreclosure because they were inundated, did not have insurance, and they just didn't have the funds or help to save their homes? And they lost their homes, and now we have entire neighborhoods in New Orleans that are just empty, ravaged.
Yeah, and Rudy, it's a good question. It's a tough question. I think the thing that we're going to continue to need to do is to work with those financing entities and figure out how we get people back up on their feet, bringing the jobs back in so that they can return to work and the repairs. FEMA has offered individual assistance for all of those that will qualify, and which is about $33,000. Now, that doesn't repair or replace a home, but to continue to working and find strategic means to work with those local and volunteer assets that come in. The backbone of the Texas individual assistance to get families back is our faith-based organizations, our churches, and our volunteers to get them back in. When we get jobs coming back like we already have right now, I think we will see this turnaround quickly. My next message out, Rudy, though, is for all of those that are not impacted, and that is even if you don't live in a flood zone, you need to seek flood insurance. This is the reason that we keep pushing this message to have the right level of insurance to protect your properties.
State law for renters, and maybe this is also with FEMA, says that if there's just one room in that apartment that you have that's viable, you have to still keep on making that monthly payment. Here we are at the first of the month. Rent's due. A lot of people in Houston are looking at, I can't get to that home. What are we going to do? Are those checks going out now, or is there something that the state can do to say, hey, landlords, back off for a little bit? What do we do?
And Rudy, we'll just keep working with our partners on that to figure out a smart answer, and we owe you and we owe them that answer. Let us work on that a little bit.
Guys, we got time for 2 more before we gotta go, so.
Got a heart out. You want?
So Rudy, I would say the first things, people need to apply for disasterassistance.gov if they're impacted. That's the first thing. We get them rental assistance to be able to take care of their immediate housing needs. As Nim said, if you're without flood insurance, that's going to make your recovery a little tougher. We're going to have to work with our partners at the Small Business Administration and other federal partners, our Housing and Urban Development Department, to help with that. The first thing you do can apply for assistance. And I can't emphasize enough what Nim said. You do not have to live in a special flood hazard zone. But from this event, you need to get flood insurance. Thanks.
One more question. One more question.
What is that $1
Mike.
million donation from
So-
President Trump going to be used for, and have you talked to him about it?
I have not.
What's it going to be used for?
I don't know.
Okay, another question?
Right here and then you're leaving.
My-
2 Navy ships en route,
Yes,
I
sir.
take it.
Yes,
What
sir.
are those pieces of vessels, and what potentially could they be used for here should the state need them?
Yes, sir, there's air there that's capable, they're an Argon and Mu, and they're on their way steaming here. So they're about 4 days out.
Guys, we have to go.
And search and rescue is the best way to search it, yes, sir.
Very good. Thank you all. General?
Sir,
Thank you
thank you.
again.
Yes, sir.
Very much.
Yes,
Good to
sir.
have you.